My title is Coordinator of Aboriginal Education in the Louis Riel School Division.
Hi, my name is Wendy McPherson, and I'm a SPSW, that's called a Student Parent Support Worker, here at CETA, Pathways to Education, the Winnipeg site.
What does your organization do, and is there a mandate?
We basically are looking at recruitment and retention of grade 12, and mostly grade 12, but also we serve 7 to 12 as well, students. Our mandate is to improve graduation rates to our students in the North End, and also in terms of recruitment of students to stay in school as well, and recruit them if they're not going to school.
We have two policies within the school division. One is to support the integration of Aboriginal perspectives and to support curricular outcomes that deal with Canada's First People, and also we have a mandate to spend additional attention on making sure our Aboriginal students are successful.
What is your organization's mission statement?
It's basically to bring together different organizations in terms of education and working with the families and the youth and different organizations in the North End. And
we have a mission statement is to foster safe, inviting and inclusive learning environments and to develop responsible global citizens through respectful partnerships between home, school, and community.
What specific resources and programs does your organization make available, and to whom?
We have 3 priorities in Louis Riel School Division. We have citizenship, academic achievement, and student engagement. And we provide programming in each one of those areas to students, community, families, and teachers.
We have a catchment area which is McGregor, Redwood, and we go as far as Point Douglas. So we serve the youth and families in that area, but we do have some students that come from out of that area because they started here and they lived in this area and then they moved out.
What specific resources and/or programs does your organization make available, and to whom?
Well, we act as a liaison to the schools, the students, the center of the circle, and then we are walking with the student, and then we're branching out into the community, into even their own community as well with that support from us, and then also getting the parents on board. So it's a family affair of education because we're trying to change the idea of education in the North End.
So to be able to provide additional space for conversations, asking some important questions and get people thinking, point people in the right direction of the right resources, and just to help make sure that everything is done in a respectful manner in terms of historical context and why we do certain things.
With respect to Aboriginal education, if you had one recommendation for the body that governs education in Manitoba, what would it be?
To make sure our teachers are knowledgeable in Canadian history.
I think the biggest thing would be that we need to make education fit to the student, not the student needs to fit into education.
Teachers, unless newly graduated from a Manitoba institution, do not have any background in Aboriginal education at all, and we're taught in history through a Western perspective, and so it's very hard to understand current issues and struggles that are faced by our Indigenous population.
We need to break down historical barriers with acceptance and with change.
And so you would say knowledge is the key, and lack of knowledge therefore is the biggest issue or the biggest problem on the part of whom?
Canadians as a whole, I guess.
To do that, we just really need to have an open, transparent type of relationship with families.
But if we could do it from a provincial standpoint, then that would be good as well.
With respect to Aboriginal education, if you had one recommendation for educators, what would it be?
Always think of the student, number one, when you're doing your lesson plans and you're doing your objectives and your outcomes.
Our history books were written from a Western perspective, and that's what we know, and it's not anyone's fault that they don't know that unless you have taken a special interest or you have a deeper understanding of Indigenous history.
And make it as culturally relevant to who you're serving as a teacher.
If you're making something, if you're doing some woods or whatever, let's make something that hollow out a thing and make a water drum. I mean, there's so many things that you can do that don't have to be your traditional type of activities that you've done before.
Include the Circle of Courage and include the 7 teachings to fill their toolbox full of things that they'll have when they leave us or when they graduate from grade 12.
What common challenges do Aboriginal students face today, and what would your organization propose as a solution?
Well, one of the challenges is that the space that they're coming into is not designed to be a safe space for them.
They want to come here and they want to see us and they want to have a giggle or have a laugh. And so we've got the students that come every day. They walk from their school here because they belong here. But we also create the environment that this is your place. This is, we're here because of them. We have a job because of them. And so we need to treat them with that sacred kind of belonging. One of the major things that need to change as well is just having access to positive, personal, interactive, concrete education that really looks at the student as a whole.
It's been a very negative relationship between education and First Nations people historically, so we have to fix that.
And finally, if there were one question that you would like to be asked, that you think would be missing or that you would really like to be asked, what would that question be? How would you answer it?
I think how we can inspire our students would be a really neat question to hear from various people.
So I'm a non-Indigenous person holding a position, an Aboriginal position. So that's a question around in education why that would exist, or is that good or is that bad?
I think that I inspire by showing care and by the way I present myself to the student, that I'm accessible but yet with good boundaries.
Because I worked in a leadership position with the school division prior to coming in here. I have a strong relationship with our leaders in the school division, which is key to making change. Is you have to build that relationship, and that takes time. That can't happen over a 3-year term. It has to happen over a 7 or 10-year period.
They're the ones that are going to be looking after me when I'm older, so I hope that they've got that empathy and just do the best that I can to make them count and to feel welcome, to belong.
Sometimes passion can outweigh culture in this particular situation, but in anything we do with Aboriginal education, the relationship is always first.
I think the biggest thing is that we're trying to change things through relationship building. So if they make that relationship with us, then they trust us, then the family will trust us eventually. And then once we've got that trust in place, then we can start to look at what the needs are for the family and for the student.